Marcus Bell thought it would be just another ordinary day. With a warm lesson plan in his backpack and a small grocery bag in hand, the 34-year-old black teacher was walking home, immersed in the familiar chaos of his city. He loved his job, his students, and the rhythm of the streets. But at that intersection, everything changed in a heartbeat. A white sports car sped around the corner and slammed into Marcus at the crosswalk. No warning, no brakes, just a brutal impact and the cold slap of asphalt against his back. His groceries scattered as he hit the ground. His knees scraped, his shoulder cracked, but he was conscious. When he looked up, a white man in his 40s stepped out of the car, dressed in a suit. Was he concerned? Number. He was angry, agitated, furious. He immediately pulled out his phone and started speaking in a performative panic. "I'm calling the police. This guy, he attacked me. I need help." Marcus narrowed his eyes, his throat tightening. "What are you talking about? You hit me with your car." But the man ignored him, pacing as he fed the phone a scripted version of events. "I was just driving, and he jumped in front of me yelling. He threatened me. I was scared for my life." A few bystanders watched. One person quietly began recording, but no one said anything aloud. As Marcus lay there trying to process what just happened, his character was being crushed beneath tires no one could see. And then, sirens. Red and blue lights tore across the sky like a warning shot. The police were on their way, and Marcus realized one thing with chilling clarity. The real impact hadn't happened yet. The real collision was just beginning. The sirens echoed through the street as Marcus remained on the ground, clutching his arm and wincing. But the pain wasn't just physical, it was personal. His dignity was bruised deeper than his body. Two white officers, Officer Ricks and Officer Nolan, both blonde with cold, hard eyes, jumped out of the cruiser. They didn't ask who was hurt or what had happened. Their eyes scanned the scene and immediately locked on their conclusion: the black man on the pavement. Ricks stormed over, hand hovering over his holster. His voice exploded with authority and suspicion. "Show your hands! Slowly! Don't move!" Marcus flinched and raised his hands quickly. "I don't have a weapon. I didn't do anything. He hit me with his car," but Nolan cut in from behind with venom. Classic move. Attack first, cry victim later. Pathetic. Marcus was stunned. Before he could even explain, both officers grabbed his arms and yanked him up roughly. He stumbled, one shoe slipping on the pavement. Ricks shoved his shoulder, forcing him back down. Meanwhile, the suited man stepped forward, his voice quivering like a seasoned actor. "He just jumped out in front of me. Then he screamed and threatened me. This neighborhood isn't safe anymore." Nolan looked down at Marcus with pure disdain. "They're all the same. Commit the crime, then pull the race card. We're sick of it." Someone in the crowd hesitantly held up a phone to record, but fear wrapped around every throat like a collar. No one dared intervene. When they slapped handcuffs onto Marcus's wrists, only one sentence echoed in his mind: "I was already on the ground, but they saw me as guilty from above." Marcus sat in a cold, metal chair, his hands chained to the table. His t-shirt was torn, sweat glistened on his brow, and his right shoulder throbbed. Dust from the pavement still clung to his face. His eyes were locked on a corner of the dimly lit room. It didn't feel like an interrogation room. It felt like a courtroom, just one without a judge. The door creaked open. Detective Creighton walked in, white, late 60s, smirking with condescension. He dropped a file onto the table and stared at Marcus over his glasses. "Mr. Bell, what are we dealing with here? Sure, the guy hit you, but why'd you threaten him? Why did you attack?" Marcus swallowed hard. "I didn't threaten anyone. I was crossing the street. He sped around the corner and hit me." Creighton shook his head, not with sympathy but with suspicion. Then, in a colder tone, "Why is it always the same story? Black guy, innocent. White guy, evil. Don't you ever take responsibility?" Marcus's voice trembled, but he held his words. A storm was brewing inside him. As a teacher, he'd spent years telling kids about justice. But the system wrote its stories in black and white, and not the ink kind. Creighton leaned in. "Look, I'd love to believe you, but we've seen plenty of clean record guys like you. Think hard till your lawyer shows. Maybe this time, you'll come up with the right version of the story." The door shut behind him, leaving Marcus alone. Tears welled up, not from pain, not even from the accusations. What broke him was that he wasn't allowed to explain. As he leaned against the wall, one thought whispered through his mind: "I'm not a criminal. But in this room, my color shouts louder than my words ever could." Marcus entered the courtroom unchained, but still feeling shackled. Every step he took was met with stares, but none of them truly saw him. To them, he wasn't a teacher, a victim, or a man. He was just a black defendant. The jury box was filled with older, mostly white faces, blank and unreadable. He sat down, surrounded by a courtroom that felt foreign, until he remembered who he was. Presiding over the court was Judge Edgar T. Lawson, 65, gray-haired, stern, and more familiar with judgment than justice. His tone was clipped and cold. This trial isn't just about a physical altercation. It's about a threat to public order. Marcus's eyes drifted to the prosecutor, Claire Monroe. Her words were sharp and confident, but they echoed fear, not facts. The defendant acted aggressively at the scene. He threatened the victim. The testimony of a white citizen is clear and consistent. The victim, sitting comfortably in his suit, wiped imaginary tears from his eyes and began, "I was terrified. He lunged at me, screamed, raised his hands." Marcus moved to stand, but his lawyer gently motioned him down. Because in this courtroom, truth wasn't meant to be spoken, it was meant to be swallowed. His attorney spoke calmly. "My client was the one struck. The supposed victim is playing a role he's written for himself. There are no eyewitnesses, and the video footage has not yet been submitted." Judge Lawson stiffened. "Your argument is weak. Don't try to sway the jury with emotional appeals. We deal with law here, not sentiment." 2 police officers were called to the stand. Rick spoke first, his voice laced with disdain. He was sitting on the ground, yeah, but his look was threatening. He seemed ready to snap. Nolan added, "We neutralized a dangerous situation. Guys like him, once they lose control, it's too late. We didn't want to take that risk." Marcus clenched his jaw. His fists dug into his knees. He wanted to shout, "I'm human!" But in this courtroom, his skin color had already spoken for him. The jury scribbled notes, their faces filled not with empathy, but doubt. Judge Lawson's voice was a blade. Appearances can deceive, but sometimes it's clear who the threat is, at first glance. The courtroom went still, but that silence didn't represent justice. It echoed the thickness of walls built by a system that refused to listen. And in that moment, Marcus thought, "I'm invisible here. Only my color speaks, and it never stops shouting." The courtroom is packed once again. Whispers ripple through the air as Marcus walks toward the defense table like a shadow. Fatigue sits heavy on his face, but there's a spark in his eyes. This time, he holds something that can't be silenced, the truth. His attorney stands and lifts a small USB flash drive. "Your Honor, we have video footage from a bystander's dashcam that captured the incident in real time." A murmur breaks out across the courtroom. Judge Lawson furrows his brow, clearly irritated. "Let's see it. But don't waste this court's time." The lights dim slightly as the footage plays. The room falls into absolute silence. Marcus is seen walking on the sidewalk. A white man driving a sports car turns sharply without signaling and hits him. Marcus falls to the ground. The driver immediately pulls out his phone. Marcus doesn't approach him. He doesn't shout. He doesn't threaten. There is no aggression, no confrontation. Just a lie crafted in panic by the man who caused the crash. The jury is transfixed. The prosecutor's face sinks. The police witnesses lower their heads. Even the judge averts his gaze before clearing his throat to speak, voice restrained. "This evidence directly contradicts prior testimonies. Jury, please deliver your verdict." The jury foreperson rises. "In the case of Marcus Bell, we find him not guilty, unanimously." Marcus freezes for a moment, then slowly lifts his head and exhales. No one claps. There is no celebration, only a heavy breath of justice long overdue. Judge Lawson gives his final word. Due to inconsistencies in the police reports, an internal investigation will be opened. Court is adjourned. Marcus walks out of the courtroom. Cameras swarm him. Reporters shout questions, but he says only one sentence, quiet but unwavering. "I told the truth, and no one listened, but the camera did, and it couldn't be silenced." He didn't just walk away from a courtroom. He left behind a wall of prejudice, and maybe, just maybe, today, a single brick fell.